Happy new moon in Aquarius and happy Chinese New Year of the Wood Snake. I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Solara. I am here to give you your new moon in Aquarius Tarotstrology Ascension report. If you are new in these here parts, I am not a traditional astrologer. I utilize the power of tarot, numerology, as well as channeling the planets to get my messages, but I do use the current astro chart in order to draw those energies. Okay, so I have the chart pulled up for earlier on today. I'm beginning this reading a little bit late tonight. We're almost 12 hours out of the most recent new moon, but we're going to get into these energies anyway because they are in full effect for us and have been, and we are clearly in this energetic portal that the new moon in Aquarius is kicking off and facilitating. So I want to take a moment to say thank you for all of your support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your donations, your likes, your shares. Thank you to those of you who've joined me over at solarah.xyz. If you're interested in getting daily content from me, you can do so by heading over to my platform, solarah.xyz, where every single day all members, free and paying, get daily alchemy messages, and then you can opt in if you want even more content from me. You can opt into one of the paying tiers. So that's solarah.xyz. Okay, I don't think I have any more announcements. I will be sharing more information about the February timetable and schedule on the community board. Okay, so I will be returning to doing more groups in the month of February, so I hope to be able to see some of you again and maybe meet a few of you, meet some newer faces. And just a quick reminder, I'm no longer doing tarotstrology reports. I'm only doing tarotstrology readings. So the reports were written, very comprehensive written reports that were sometimes upwards of 40 typed pages. I'm not doing those anymore. I've got a few more left to do from people who've ordered ahead of time, but I'm not doing the written reports anymore because it's just too taxing on my energy. But I do still do tarotstrology readings in audio format, video format, or one-to-one with me via video session for those of you who want personal tarotstrology. Okay, so let's get into today's chart. The new moon in Aquarius. Can you feel the shift in the energy over the past few days as we got closer to this grand Aquarian portal? We are today on the 29th of January. We are moving towards the end of the first month of the year, and February is getting ready to kickstart a lot of action. And that's because we have presently Mars, Jupiter, and Uranus are still retrograding, but in February, all three of them will be stationing to go direct, and we will then have no retrograde planets, and we'll be all systems a go-go. Now, today, the moon, it's not just a new moon in Aquarius, but now the nodes have officially settled in their Pisces Virgo placement. So they've moved out, the North Node has moved out of Aries and into Pisces now officially. And the South Node has moved out of Libra and into Virgo officially. So the true nodes technically moved on the 11th of January, but the mean node calculation moved today. So we have today a few monumental events occurring. We had the new moon in Aquarius, of course, the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year begins, as well as the official arrival of the nodes in their new signs, in their new homes for the next 19 months. So a lot going on, right? Let's get into the chart. Okay, so today's new moon in Aquarius occurred at the sun and the moon met at the 9-degree mark. The 9-degree mark. So let's talk about that because 2025 is, numerologically speaking, a number 9 year. And here we have, is this the first new moon of the year? I think it is. I think the new moon in Capricorn, yeah, it happened on the 30th of December. So this is the first new moon of 2025. And I think the new moon in Capricorn occurred at 9 degrees too, or maybe 8, I forget. We have this this thing that happens pretty much every single year where the first few new and full moons tend to keep at the same degree, almost as if we're establishing the energy for the year ahead, or if you prefer to think about the calendar in astrological terms, the astrological new year begins in Aries season. So a lot of the time the moons up until then have a very specific sequence that they follow together numerically. And this year that sequence is the full moons are 23 and 24 degrees, which are degrees of Aquarius. 23 is a degree of Aquarius and 24 is a degree of Pisces. And then the new moons have been showing up at 9 degrees, and I think a few at 8. I'm not, one second, I can look this up instead of basing it upon conjecture. Hold on a second. So yes, okay, so the next new moon in Pisces is again at 9 degrees, and then we set off the astrological new year with a solar eclipse in Aries at 8 degrees. Okay, so yes, so it began in Scorpio season. The new moon in Scorpio began this 9-degree trend on the 1st of November. So we'll have 5 new moons at 9 degrees. 1st of November, the Scorpio new moon was at 9 degrees. December 1st, the Sagittarius new moon was at 9 degrees. December 30th, the Capricorn new moon was at 9 degrees. And now we have today, January the 29th, the Aquarian new moon at 9 degrees. And then we will have the Piscean new moon at 9 degrees. So that's a 5, showing up 5 times that way, which in and of itself is also significant because 5 is indicative of the changes that must occur for an energy that has already created a foundation. It's like the changes that must occur in order to stabilize the foundation that's already been set, if that makes sense. So 5 is considered a number of change, but really it's the change that's born of needing to integrate the quality of an energy that's already been established. Okay, because energy is established through the number 4. Okay, 4 is the establishment, the foundation of an energy. 5 is where the changes come in order to make the adjustments so that it now goes where you want it to be directed. So that now what you're building upon that foundation is a reflection of what you're desiring to build. So, in saying that, there's a lot of, I've been writing about this on solara.xyz in the past week. There's been a lot of what I call like timeline shuffling, right? So like how you go into your playlist and you put it on Smart Shuffle and you just don't know what song's going to come up next. And in between the songs that you have on your playlist, if it's on Smart Shuffle, there are also recommendations. And then when the song comes up, if you like it, you listen to it. If you don't, you just press forward and you go to another song and you have no idea what the fuck the next song is going to be, right? It's kind of like that. And what I mean by that is that we are like being open to a myriad of possibilities of experiences, realities, and timelines that are open to us based upon where we are on our own walks, based upon what we have chosen to direct our consciousness towards, and based upon what we are dedicated to continue building. And yes, this is always available to us, this ability to shift out of timelines, and to create new realities. But this is very like the energy to do this is very, very magnified right now, because we're right in this energy portal of profound destruction and rebirth that allows for us to also create and destroy very rapidly too. Okay, so the significance of 9. Okay, 9 is really interesting because 9 feminine. 9 is a number that connects us to the feminine energy, and masculine or masculine energy connects us to the 1. And when you get 9 plus 1 together, what you get is the number 10, or what we consider 1 and 0, which equals the binary code of creation. So this is showing you even numerically how these principles of masculine and feminine coming together to create the wholeness of what brings forth all possibilities. And we don't even have to talk about it just as masculine and feminine. This is how energy works here on this planet because of the law of polarity. Okay, so the 9 is deeply feminine. It's feminine wisdom. It's the feminine wisdom that has been lost, that is now returning onto the planet, primarily in and through us. So the feminine energy that needs to return there's so many areas where it needs to return, right? And the reason why the spotlight is on the feminine energy is not because the masculine energy isn't important. In fact, we're all going through this huge masculine this huge divine masculine upgrade and clearing and purging of the distorted masculine energies that have created and fed these very toxic structures and systems that were designed to constantly have us in self-destruct mode, chasing after things that really were already our own, right? So that energy is actually being purged out of all of us now, being purged out of the systems, even in the presence of that energy being magnified. People often think that when an energy becomes more magnified, it means that it's on its way in, but sometimes energies become very loud and magnified when they're actually on their last death throes. And this is what we're experiencing right now. So don't feel disheartened when you feel like things are escalating that you thought had to die, and you start to fear that it's going in the opposite direction. No, it's actually in its final death throes, and it's kicking up everything it can to try to live and try to survive, but its time is over. Okay, so, and when I say masculine energy, I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about how those distortions live within all of us. Yes, it is physically expressed and embodied through those who consider themselves to be male, or who are they're masculine. They're more dominant in their masculine energy, but it's something we all have. So divine feminine wisdom is returning, it's rising, it has been, but now it's becoming established and materialized, very specifically in the systems that are responsible for the organization of how we live on this planet. There is, whether you can see it or not tangibly, you will a lot more. You might see it, you might have begun seeing it in spurts, but there is a grand revolution and transformation that is happening as all these systems are crumbling. They're falling because what has been built and based and rooted upon ego, a wounded ego, cannot survive the frequency that we're rising into. So all false and wounded egoic structures must fall. All structures that therefore were kept alive by the siphoning of our collective and individual pain cannot last anymore. So this is where a lot of deep exposure is happening, and we're only just beginning, because there's a whole lot of exposure and revelation that has yet to come as these Age of Aquarius timelines begin to materialize in our realities on a personal level, collectively. Everything that no longer can stay within those timelines will kick up to be seen. All that was hidden, there's a Bible verse that it goes, it's like everything that was hidden in the dark will come up to be seen, right? And that's where we are right now. All that was hidden in the dark, there's no cover anymore for it. There's nowhere left for the dysfunction and the distortion to hide, because it could only hide in the lower frequency reality. And the higher the frequency of the planet is raised, everything that was hidden beneath the densities that existed has to be exposed. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this number 9 and the fact that the new moon in Aquarius is occurring today, or has occurred today at this degree. Now, this new moon in Aquarius is really kicking off a cycle of rapid material shifts to bring the energies up to date or up to par with a lot of what we've been talking about and feeling. So things are going to start moving very rapidly now. Things are going to start changing very rapidly now. Okay? What was I going to say about this Aquarian energy at 9 degrees also? I lost it. Maybe it will come back. So let's talk about the number 9 and what it represents. So 9 is an astrological degree of Sagittarius. And if you've been rolling with me for a while, you'll know that my take on Sagittarian energy is that Sagittarius is one of the grand liberating signs on the zodiac wheel. Now, what's really interesting is for those of you who do gematria, where you're able to break down the numerical value of a word by aligning each letter with a number, right? So if you practice gematria and you add up the letters, the numbers that are connected to the letters that spell Sagittarius, it breaks down to 144. None of the other signs do you have that with, but with Sagittarius, numerically, it breaks down to the 144 frequency. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that the Sagittarian energy is the sign of the zodiac, or the medicine of the zodiac, through which we learn to come to materialize our true God code back on the planet, and to actually be able to walk in it. Because in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, you don't have to agree with me, I don't believe the 144,000, I don't believe it's a number. I believe it's an energy. I believe it's a frequency, right? There may be more, there may be less, really, I don't care, because I'm no longer, I should say, connected to those egoic stories of needing to be, or even needing to understand, like this idea of separation and their chosen ones versus no, if there is, fine, but I'm not attaching too much of my consciousness to that anymore, because as always, all of these things become, egoic and polluted over time. And sometimes, it is our own ego that tends to be drawn to that until we learn how to rise into our power, and we no longer need that narrative. Everything is useful until it's not, So 9 is also connected to the Virgo card, the Hermit, right? So another card of liberation. The Hermit is, it shows you the keys to the way out. So Virgo, there's some signs of the zodiac that are very, 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 I want to say obsessed, but that's not quite the right word. There are some signs of the zodiac that are very dedicated to your liberation. And oftentimes they work together in their sister signs, some more cohesively than others. And for me, Virgo and Pisces work together very, very intentionally and cohesively to help us get our souls free of all constraints that take us out of divine order. Okay, and they do it in a different way. And the Virgo's way of liberating our souls is by reminding us that all solutions for any issue that enters into our external reality, every problem has a solution that must be sought from within. Not from looking around, not from asking Jane, Sally, Paul, Simon, right? But from going within, because the truth of the matter is you can be another person with an identical problem, but the solution that's going to work for your soul's evolution is not going to be the same as the other person who's going through the same or something very similar. And this is where they fucked us over in the false matrix, because they had us living formulaically, telling us that if we have this, then we need to do this. If we want to get here, then we need to go in this direction. And they did this, the powers that were did this very purposely and very intentionally to have us following formulas that took us away from our own soul's wisdom. And Virgo says, it's time to come back to yourself. Because when you come back to yourself and you go into your own soul to find the answers for all of your next steps, you limit your karmic struggle and suffering. Because karmic suffering, or what we call karma, right, which is nothing but a soul lesson. It's a mechanism within your soul to show you that you're not on track. So, I mean, I'm simplifying it a lot here, but that is what it is. Your soul is very smart, because it's here to drive your purpose here on earth, to keep you on track. Your soul is here to do that. So when you veer away from your soul's purpose, what your soul does is then it calls in situations that match the energy that is putting you out of alignment, so that you become uncomfortable in that situation and you go within and you calibrate back into your true divine settings, so that you begin to call in situations, experiences, opportunities that actually match what brings your soul fulfillment, which will always therefore align with your soul's purpose. And we've forgotten all of this because of the deep state programming. And so the number 9, the Hermit energy, the Virgo energy, calls us back into self to recalibrate, reconnect ourselves to our true and our pure source code. That's the Sagittarius energy, so that we learn to stop walking away from our souls and from our truth. So this is where we get that whole selling your souls. In the Matrix, in order to move forward, we were constantly bartering and selling our souls. It's not something only wicked people did in the entertainment industry, although many of them took it to a whole other level with all of the rituals. It was something we were all programmed to do, because anytime you move away from the internal settings that are soul driven for you alone, anytime you do that, you are giving away your power. You are giving away your solar energy to something outside of you that most of the time is not worthy of it. Because nothing that takes you out of alignment with yourself, it's like you're paying something. It's like you're paying something to keep you out of alignment. So it is a selling of the soul, a giving away of the solar energy to the wrong thing. So this is the year with the Virgo in the South Node, Pisces in the North Node, and this very powerful 9 energy that also connects us to Virgo and Sagittarius. This is the year where we remember how to come back into alignment with our true divine blueprints and begin to live soulfully and in tune with who we actually are and what we came here to do. And this is what the number 9 helps us to do, right? And feminine energy is, it forms the matrix for all things, right? It forms the matrix for all things to grow. It forms the womb space, I should say, for things to gestate and to grow and to become. And this is kind of what the earth was supposed to be for us. It was supposed to be a place where we could come as souls to grow very rapidly, but also to experience what it felt like to have our consciousness in something that felt limiting, and to still be able to drive our consciousness within the context of that, limited sense of being. And I'm talking about the body, right? But still the earth was here to kind of be an incubator for us, and they corrupted it, right? So we're taking it back, because it's ours. Like they took what belonged to us, and then they charged us to get access to our own stuff in so many ways, right? So let's break down the tarot astrology of this. The sun in Aquarius at 9 degrees is the sun card, the star, the Fool to a lesser degree, but still. And then the 9-degree mark of Aquarius is the 5 of Swords. And the moon in Aquarius at 9 degrees is the moon, the star, the Fool to a lesser extent, and the 5 of Swords. Now, the 5 of Swords, I'm sure many of you know, it's one of the least... The cards of Aquarius in the tarot are some of the cards you don't want to get. The only Aquarian card you kind of don't mind getting a lot of the time is the 6 of Swords, right? Because it means moving away from the fuckery. But the 5 of Swords is that energy of having things trying to win over you at any cost, things trying to belittle you, push you in a corner energetically, gaslight, all of those mind games designed to steal people's power. That's the 5 of Swords. And so this new moon in Aquarius is about us triumphing over all of that, right? Another message that was coming through about this new moon in Aquarius is, and this has been, I've been receiving this message for, a little while now, but it's becoming more cemented in its delivery right now. And that is that I kept on seeing like the 9 of Wands, which is a Sagittarius energy also, right? It's the second decan of Sagittarius. And I say also because, like I said, the 9 is astrologically it's a Sagittarian degree. And I kept on, thinking today about the 9 of Wands. And what my guides were showing me is that it's an end of the generational curse breaker, cycle breaker storyline. In other words, there's no more war. There was a time we had to fight to break through cycles. We've broken through the cycles now for ourselves, and we've opened the way for everyone that we came here to do that for. And at a certain point, everyone has free will as to whether they're going to choose to rise or whether they're going to choose to continue in their own cycle of karmic struggling. It's not our job to evangelize, to try to pull anyone forward. We couldn't do that even if we tried. It wouldn't be genuine, right? It wouldn't be genuinely them coming forward of their own volition, which means that in this age, they'd be spit out anyway, because everything is returning to being measured by frequency, and frequency can't be fucked. It can't be faked, right? So what was I saying? 9 of Wands, the end of the generational curse breaker story, right? Because that story comes with a lot of heaviness. And it's not that it's not a real or a valid story. It's just that the timelines of having to live in that constant struggle and fighting and lack of support and smear campaigning and all that other bullshit that goes with that mantle that so many of us wore, and some people made it their very identity. It's over. And it's over because it's time for you not to have to struggle and suffer and be in these war timelines anymore. And so there's something about this new moon in Aquarius that's putting an end to that heaviness. It's putting an end to the story. The cycle is broken. The only reason we'll stay stuck in that heavy warring energy is if we choose to continue to hold on to that title as if it is our identity. And with the nodes shifting, we've gone through that final stretch of them pulling through the 0 degree point of Aries and Libra, where we were challenged to take authority again over our true source identity. And you were not sent here to identify purely with constantly having to struggle. There was a time to fight, there was a time to war, and now there's a time to have such deep internal peace that all you produce in your new timelines are situations and experiences that reflect back to you that peace. And in doing that, that is the way you are cultivating peace back onto the earth. So we're entering, they've been calling it for a while with me, our justice timelines, our peace timelines, however you want to see it. Okay, so this is partly what the sun and the moon are representing today. The new moon in Aquarius energy. Okay. Another thing I've been feeling very strongly is how things are rapidly moving. So I mentioned before that there are 3 planets presently in retrograde: Mars, Jupiter, Uranus. They are all getting ready to station to go direct throughout the month of February at different times. Each of them will be going direct. But you can already feel the energy picking up. In preparation for that. So today we also have we've got 2 luminaries and 2 planets in Aquarius. So 4 placements, 4 Aquarian placements happening: the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Pluto. So a lot of Aquarian energy and a lot of Piscean energy, because we've got 3 planets in Pisces and the North Node. So we have Venus in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, making a conjunction with Venus, Neptune and Venus, which is beautiful. We'll get into why that's beautiful shortly. But that Neptune, let's talk about it quickly now, otherwise I might forget. The Neptune-Venus connection for me, as I read energy and as I channel the planets, is that Venus is the planet that helps us to ground in Neptunian ideals. So Venus is how we experience love materially, but Neptune is how we tune into those divine aspects of love that have been missing on the planet, and our souls have been missing it and calling out for it. But because of the lies and the fuckery and the programs and the densities here that dragged us into a lower frequential reality, we haven't been able to sublimate and actualize those divine love templates on the earth in so long. And we've had our connection with people who we've had this divine love with, and what you probably noticed is that it couldn't be substantiated, it couldn't be materialized, it couldn't be anchored and rooted in for most people. So it would come together very powerfully, and as powerfully as it came together, it would crumble and be destroyed because the foundation to support its rooting and growth wasn't there. Well, this Venus and Neptune conjunction is really interesting, because it's almost like Venus is helping us to once again materialize onto the planet the foundations that make this higher resonant love possible again for all of us, and understand and overstand that this love first begins with self. None of us have been able to properly connect with true love for self because of the configurations and how everything has been. And Venus and Neptune coming together in this way on the new moon in Aquarius is opening a doorway again. Not even opening a doorway, it's setting into place the soil that is perfect for the seeding and the rooting of these divine partnerships in love, in work, in friendship, in family, that haven't been able to properly thrive here on this planet because of the distortions, because of everything that I've already mentioned. So that's what I'm getting with this Venus and Neptune conjunction. And actually, you know, when the new moon happened, it was like 2 degrees off, but Venus is moving. And I would say, I could just look this up. I would think that the actual conjunction is happening on Friday. And I do think that I don't follow, regular astrology a lot of the time, but just being on socials, I've seen like different people talking about things. I think there's something happening on Friday with this Venus-Neptune conjunction. Yeah, it's happening on Friday. This Venus-Neptune conjunction. Oh, while the sun is at 11 degrees Aquarius, that's a gate is reopening to some kind of Aquarian mastery on the planet that hasn't been here since the previous golden age. And that mastery has to do with how we love. That mastery has to do with how we love. I was just talking to somebody, I think a client, about this last week, or maybe in one of my groups, and we've forgotten how to love, and not from a lack of want, but from lack of ability, because what we've been calling love on this planet isn't really that. It's been codependency, it's been, abuse, it's been difficult, because unconditional love is only really possible when we no longer have to lean on one another for our survival. I'm going to say that one more time. Unconditional love is only really, truly possible when we don't have to lean upon one another for our survival. Love becomes conditional when we try to make it transactional, and we make it transactional when we need something from someone else, whether it's money, whether it's affection, validation, all of those things. And here's the thing, we're all here to grow and to learn and to love one another, and we do need each other. But there's a difference between needing each other because we're not here to be alone versus needing each other to survive. And the false matrix put us all in these situations of survival mode, when the truth of the matter is that when we're walking in alignment with the divine plan for who we came here to be, we are always taken care of, period. And in that place, we don't have to, we're fully energetically self-sufficient, to the point where we can really give freely to another from a place of just pure desire to do so, as opposed to those invisible strings that were designed to connect us in ways that took away from the beauty and the purity of what love between one another in corporeal form was designed to be. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who can love unconditionally, but I'm saying that we were all supposed to be here to be able to do that, and that was not the collective picture. And not only was that not the collective picture, but love itself was bastardized. It was bastardized. It was made into all manner of fuckery that is really an insult to what love is supposed to be, down from the family structures where we were taught to stick around and to be loyal to people that repeatedly hurt us, or we were hurting them too. We were all hurting each other and calling it love because we were being loyal to our abuse and our abusers. That's not love. That's self-destruction. And if you're in a self-destructive place, then the chain of events that occurs when you are connected to other beings is also going to cause some form of destruction in their fields too. So we were set into self-destructive settings, and then we were told that that destruction was love, and we're supposed to sit in it. Fuck that. Fuck that. Give me love or give me nothing. Real love. Real love. Mercury in Aquarius at 2 degrees. So Mercury has moved into Aquarius now. And so Mercury is giving us lessons on how to expand our consciousness back into a place, I would say, of being more humane. We're getting many lessons of love through this new moon in Aquarius window. Our hearts are activating and preparing us for big heart chakra, solar plexus, higher heart activations through the full moon in Leo coming up in 2 weeks. That portal is already open as the moon begins to wax in her fullness as she moves out of this place of newness, right? So we're already moving towards that Leonine energy that has to deal with the heart and the solar plexus. And so right now we're getting, and even with the Piscean energy, Pisces is so dreamy and romantic also, right? So we are rising back into a lot of cosmic love lessons right now. Deep cosmic love lessons, deep cosmic love lessons, deep cosmic love making, however you want to see it. It's deep and it's cosmic and it's I don't even know how to describe it. Your soul knows, though. Your soul, and those of you who fuck with me over here, you'll know what I'm talking about. Your soul knows what it's always been craving, and how so many things on this earth that were advertised as being things that were supposed to bring you satisfaction only made you more miserable because of the letdown of it, and because deep down inside your soul knows the real thing from the fake or the wannabe, right? So the cosmic love stories, cosmic love making, all of that is returning. And I forgot to mention that the 29th of January, 2 + 9 is an 11. And it's the first month of the year. So this is 111 energy also, not for nothing. So 111 energy. And not for nothing, the nodes are at 29 degrees also, which is interesting too. Right? So they're 29 degrees Pisces and 29 degrees Virgo on the 29th of January as the moon becomes new in Aquarius. A lot of 9 energy and a lot of 11 energy. Except it's not 9/11, it's 119. Flipping the script on them bitches. If you know, then you know. And I think you know. Anyway, we won't get into all of that right now. Mercury in Aquarius at 2 degrees. So this is the Magician, the Star, the Fool to a lesser extent, and again, more 5 of Swords. The 2 degree energy is a astrological degree of Taurus that is connected to the High Priestess, the Pisces card of the major arcana, or one of the Pisces cards. So, that's what I'm getting here. Like, our souls are being aligned with our deep cosmic love stories. And please understand and overstand that deep cosmic love story first has to do with your reconnection to source. And then by way of that, your reconnection to your soul, that then brings forth all of your soul contracts that reflect this also in work, in life, in love. So this cosmic love story, this deep, beautiful cosmic love story is supposed to be just your life. It's not designated to a person and your experience with that person. Your whole fucking life is supposed to unfold and be experienced as this beautiful cosmic love story. And it's back. It's back. And that's what I'm getting. Like, that's the lesson I feel Mercury is speaking to us. And Mercury's doing it through our minds. That's how Mercury works. Mercury expands our minds to match the width and the breadth and the depth and the expansiveness of our hearts, because our hearts are vast. Our hearts are vast. And I just did a TAROTSTROLOGY for a client whose energy helped me to articulate something that I've been speaking about, but it was like tuning in with her and to her chart helped me to see something, helped me to better articulate it, because she had the wisdom in her soul about this. And that is that our hearts and our emotional energy is so vast, right? It's infinite. and it can't be controlled. It can only be muddied. They knew this in the false matrix. They knew that they couldn't control our hearts, but they could control our minds and use our minds against our hearts. And so what they did was they took the infinite potential of our minds and they shrunk that into programming us into limited ways of being and thinking. But here's what that did. That limited way, that smaller way of thinking, drove a big schism between our mental and our emotional bodies, what we call our psyches. And this is what causes suffering, because the size of your emotional energy, the size of your heart must match the size of your mind. So when you shrink your mind to fit in a program, and your heart is this expansive, and you use your mind against your own heart, what you're trying to do, and this is what they taught us to do, is to push your heart into a place where it can never go. Try putting the ocean in a glass. It ain't gonna work. This is what emotional repression is. This is what we were constantly doing. We were repressing and suppressing and oppressing our truth, our hearts, our divine desires. We were constantly trying to push it down, push it back, push it away. And in doing that, what we were doing ultimately was causing our own suffering, because your mind is supposed to flow with your heart. They're supposed to work in coherence, and the depth of your heart is always going to equate the depths of your mind, for as long as you're not squeezing your mind, or your mind isn't being squeezed into a program. You can't squeeze your heart energy. You can push it away. You can do all of that, but you can't really shrink it. You can only dirty it. Dirty the waters of your emotional field. And that's what they did. That's what trauma is. That's what trauma is, right? Is creating all of this muck within our emotional bodies, where where we're constantly now magnetizing into our reality more things that aren't even always in alignment with our minds, but will always match what is hidden in our emotional bodies. So it was a big mind fuck, a big trick, a huge trick. And like, even what I'm saying now, it's scratching the surface of what was actually done to us. And I hope I'm articulating it well, but literally it's just scratching the surface of what these beings did to humanity. They were literal crimes against our humanity. And this new moon in Aquarius is like giving a big fuck you to that. Fuck you for criminalizing our capacity to love. Fuck you for limiting us and making us feel less than. Fuck you for stealing our opportunities to love and to be loved on this planet. Fuck you for stealing our resources and all of our birthrights and everything that was already ours, so we could just come here and live and chill and be at peace, and from that place create and innovate and to build in the world, instead of from that fear-based agenda and programming that they needed us in to siphon our soul energy. A big fuck you to all of those industries, beings, energies that persistently committed these crimes against our humanity, and therefore deprived us of the right of living the cosmic love story that was promised us by our divine Father and Mother. But it's back. It's here. And that Pisces energy, that powerful Pisces energy is also, bringing it forth also. For as long as we are able to discern, for as long as we're able to stop playing those love games of martyrdom and self-sacrifice, and we're able to also discern what is the real from the fake, And the only way we can do that is by doing that first in self. This is where Virgo comes in. Virgo don't take shit. Virgo's like, be real. radically honest, be real with yourself, because the more real you are with yourself, the less that people can't be real with you. That's why Virgo is such a stickler for that, and why she is Pisces' sidekick or sister sign, because Pisces just wants to believe everything is good. They want to believe everything and everyone is good, and even when they're bad, there's still the redemption arc. And sometimes people just like being bad. They don't want to be redeemed, you know, and that's when Virgo will come into Pisces and be like, listen, Pisces, sometimes people just want to be bad. And Pisces is just like, but, you know, Virgo, you know, like, they were nice to me in 1924. And Virgo's like, yeah, but for that one time they were nice to you. What about the other 100 times where they weren't? You know, like, so that Virgo Pisces energy is like that conversation that we have to have in order to really, you know, move into the dream, but have the dream anchored into reality. Okay, Venus in Pisces at 25 degrees. Oh, wait, did I do the TAROTSTROLOGY? Okay, so the TAROTSTROLOGY for Mercury in Aquarius, that is the Magician. Well, I did do that, didn't I? Yeah, I did do that. My bad. Okay, Venus in Pisces at 25 degrees. It's late. Okay, so excuse me for, you know, forgetting. Venus in Pisces at 25 degrees. Venus is the Empress. Pisces is, again, the High Priestess and the Hanged One. 25 degrees of Pisces is the 10 of Cups. I love it. The 10 of Cups. So we have Pisces representing themselves here. 3 out of 4 of the Piscean energies are in 10 of Cups, and Saturn is in 9 of Cups, because you can't get to the 10 of Cups without the 9 of Cups, and Saturn's like the stickler, like, I'm going to remind you bitches, there's no 10 of Cups without the 9 of Cups. Okay, so get yourselves right internally, you know, like, fulfill your joy for yourself, for your joy to be naturally and purely and authentically fulfilled with another, because the 10 of Cups then, of course, is the precursor for the 10 of Pentacles, which again, Virgo, right? And not for nothing, while we're talking about this Virgo energy, the lead up to, from this new moon in Aquarius to March's full moon in Virgo, I feel like this is going to be a time of rapid shifts in timelines for those who are ready to anchor into their cosmic love story, you know, or their higher timelines. A lot that has been, in other words, obstructing, blocking, delaying, is about to be moved out of the way, because another thing, and I probably will do this on my channel, SOLARAH'S, I'll get into this more, the Akasha have gone through an update, and the Akasha go through somewhat of an update, in my opinion, every Capricorn season. And every time a planet is transiting through Capricorn, it will have something to do with the Akasha. But because of where we are in Ascension right now, and because 2025 is a year where we are beginning to materialize Aquarian timelines, and we are closing out this story of having to struggle, the update that's been happening is a little bit grander. So from July of 2022, the karmic contracts that we were wrongfully, you know, like, stuck in and bound to, those contracts closed out. And because they were old world contracts, they weren't something that we were supposed to be bringing forth into the new earth, 0033 on my clock. And so what happens when a contract closes is very similar to what happens here on the earth. So kind of like when the statute of limitations of something that was discretionary expires, and it becomes public wisdom or public knowledge. So like in 2020, in the height of the pandemic, when they released the gateway information, and it had been classified up until then, because those classified files had a a point of expiration where then it had to be shared publicly. And that's just a reflection of universal law. So when the contracts from the false matrix came to a close in around the full moon in Capricorn in 2022, what then began to happen was a pouring of those records and what had actually been happening behind the scenes that had been classified information, because it was tied to lunar contracts that also expired. I was going to get into the moon and the planet, the contracts the moon had with the earth, but I won't get into that right now. But either way, the classified documents that were being held around the shenanigans that had been occurring, that had us bound to those contracts, that information began to stream into the collective consciousness, because it was no longer under any kind of energetic restraints. It was now open to public consumption, but it was open to public consumption astrally, etherically. But you'll notice that in 2022, that's when, if you're into tarot and energy, this is when all of the stories around karmic family, what they call destiny swapping, all of that stuff started to come to the head, and people started talking about it more. It became more mainstream in the spiritual and tarot community. And that's because all of that information started to flood into the collective consciousness, because it's time for those files to be exposed. And they needed to be exposed also so that we could see and make a decision for these new earth timelines, and we could also heal ourselves of all of the internal mechanisms that had us bound to those contracts too. So we've been going through a deep, clearing of a lot of those energies to prepare us for now. And so Capricorn works with these records, with the Akasha. And so this Capricorn season has been about a reshuffling, a revamping, bringing in your new earth contracts and aligning your Akashic records in accordance with what you're ready to take on. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Mars in Cancer at 21 degrees, still retrograding. Well, Mars in Cancer, I think we've already talked about this. Mars in Cancer, Mars is fighting for the integrity of the divine feminine wisdom that must be protected in its establishment again on the earth planes. So Mars is the Tower, Cancer is the Chariot, and 21 degrees is a astrological degree of Sagittarius, again, more Sagittarian energy. And 21 is connected to the World card in the Tarot. So not for nothing, this Mars in Cancer energy is also, it feels like it is taking back what has been lost through the way our codes have been utilized for the false creations that sustained the matrix illusions, that they had to keep us in lower realities in order to obtain. So the Chariot, not for nothing, is the golden child in the tarot. It is the child. It is the child that is a result of the Emperor and the Empress's union. So, you can take that many ways, but really what it is, it's your legacy. It's what you're able to create through the joining of the masculine and the feminine energies that live within you, or the joining of yourself with another person and the legacy that you're here to create on the earth planes. You were sent here to not only live, but to create a real legacy. And the legacy that you leave on the earth planes has very little to do with what it is they told us, which was, leave a building in your name, or, go down in the history books and all that other shit. And that's not real legacy. True legacy, cosmically speaking, is coming onto the planet and living so in alignment with the ethos of the source particle you've been sent to embody. You live that out so well that you leave that imprint on the earth plane, and you therefore make it better for everyone who comes after you, because you've left that part of source here, and you've left it by the way of how you've lived, and you've expressed your life. You've expressed your life force. You've expressed your that God particle that you carry. We all carry a God particle that we came from, and when we all come together and we're working in alignment with being that God particle, embodying it, this is where we create collectively this idea of paradise. It's not possible if we're not connected to the source particle from whence we came. And so it's like the Mars in Cancer is like fighting to take back what we've lost from the fuckery of the distortion of the masculine and feminine energies. So there've been a lot of distortions on both sides, so that we would create more distortion together. So our creations would be perpetual distortions too. And this is where like a lot of generational stuff comes in also, but there's like a taking back of what's been taken from us. There's a stripping of the grids that's happening right now, and shout out to my friend and fellow healer, Lumina, who has been talking to me about this a lot recently too. She's a very gifted, wise woman and healer, and you should definitely come to solar.xyz and see some of what it is that she's sharing with the collective over there also. And she also led our group, my Jade members group, this Saturday through a really powerful activation. So anyway, this is something that, I've had a lot of conversations with her about, but this is what's occurring, is like the stripping of the false grids. The stripping of the false grids of all of the stuff that was stolen from us and we were sacrificed for. It's being stripped. It's being gutted. Right? And a lot of dragon energy right now. A lot of dragon energy stripping the grids of all of the ways we've been sacrificed and hurt, and our things have been taken. So that's what I'm getting with this Mars in Cancer. Jupiter in Gemini at 11 degrees. So 11 is a degree of Aquarius. 11 is a degree of Aquarius. And 11 also connects us to gateways, different Aquarian gateways, or different gateways in general, but different Aquarian, let's just leave it at Aquarian gateways. And when Jupiter stations to go direct, I forget the date, sometime in February, it will still be at the 11 degrees. So master Gemini lessons. So 11 degrees Gemini is the 9 of swords. So this is breaking of the mind control, breaking of the mind control that we've been under as individuals, right? So we've been under collective mind control, but we've also been under individual mind control in accordance with how we responded and internalized those collective programs. And so this is a deep breaking of those mental constructs internally for the purpose of liberation into your true justice timelines and your true divine contract. So Jupiter is the Wheel of Fortune. Gemini is, of course, the Lovers, the Magician. And like I said, the 11 degree mark is a degree of Aquarius connected to the Justice card in the Tarot, right? Yeah. That's what I'm getting. So I'm just going to go into Saturn and the nodes and call it a night. Okay, so Saturn is no, let's go into both Saturn and Uranus quickly. Saturn is at the 17 degree mark of Pisces. And 17 degrees, it is a Leo degree astrologically, but it's connected to the Aquarius card, the star. So we have Leo and Aquarius number coming through with the numerology of the number 17. And we've got Saturn in Pisces. So Saturn is putting aright certain things from the age of Pisces that we have to see, we have to acknowledge, we have to heal from, we have to integrate in order to bridge, to be the bridge that can bring forth the codes from the age of Leo that have been locked within our own souls, and in some cases locked within the earth in different places. We need to be the bridge to bring those codes forward because they're needed in the age of Aquarius. And that bridge that is uniting or pulling that forward is connected to like that deep Piscean energy of dream, the dream, imagination, meditation. But it's also almost like Saturn is helping us to remember how to do that, how to produce quantumly in order to enact this too. So Saturn is the world, Pisces is the high priestess, the hanged one, 17 degrees of Pisces is the 9 of cups, and 17, like I said, it is an astrological degree of Leo with tarot connections to the number 17 card of the major arcana, which is the star, which is Aquarius energy. Speaking of Aquarius energy, Uranus is in Taurus at Aquarian degree. 23 is an Aquarian degree. And when Uranus sets to go retrograde in February, I believe it will also be at 23 degrees. So both Jupiter and Uranus, when they station to go direct, are both going to be at Aquarian degrees, which again is showing us that the age of Aquarius timelines are a go. And Mars in Cancer will be at 17 degrees, which is an astrological degree of Leo with the tarot energy connected to the star, which is Aquarius energy. So all of them are connected to these golden age energies that are needed for now. Okay, so let's move into the North Node. Okay, so sorry, Uranus is the Fool, Taurus is the Hierophant, 23 degrees Taurus is the 7 of Pentacles. Okay, North Node in Pisces at 29 degrees, 11, 2 plus 9 is 11. So here we have again 29, 11, 111, gateway energy today. South Node, of course, is 29 degrees Virgo. So this is 10 of Cups and 10 of Pentacles. Again, this is another indication of the stripping of the grids, or you could say the stripping of the stripping from the false legacies that have run everything on this planet and have therefore disabled us from the ability to truly leave a legacy on the earth. All of that, it feels like, is being uprooted through this energy right now as the nodes begin their journey through Pisces and Virgo. And the Pisces and North Node energy is here to reconnect us to the dream, most importantly. Not even quite yet the materializing of it. We're already doing that, but the Pisces is here to remind us how to live quantumly and how to create new worlds and possibilities. And Virgo is here to keep us in check. Always. Designated driver. No, I'm joking. But Virgo is also, you got to be aware that the Virgo energy right now is going to be, you have to watch out for the shadow energy of Virgo, right? And I'm a Virgo ascendant and the mama of a Virgo sun. and the daughter of a Virgo sun. So I always will say that Virgo and Cancer and Pisces have been some of my most major teachers, like wisdom teachers, this lifetime so far, in more ways than just the connections I've just listed. And Virgo's shadow is that Virgo can stop. Virgo can get stuck and not move forward because of fear. And the fear actually isn't real. It's derived from catastrophizing, and it's derived from Virgo's beautiful ability to connect very expansively with a lot of different mental energies. Virgo is very proficient at taking complex information and breaking it down into bite-sized pieces of information that becomes digestible for others, for self and for others. But Virgo's shadow tendency in that is to find fault where there isn't, to pick things apart that don't need to be picked apart. And so that's where the Piscean energy is leading us out of hypercritical, catastrophizing energy that, don't get me wrong, it's real and it's a result of trauma, right? When we fall into those fear-based places. But there's a new way of dealing with it, because we're no longer in Nine of Wands, struggle, suffering, war timelines. We're in our fucking cosmic love story, right? So I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for chilling with me and going on this journey through astrology, tarot, numerology, and channeling. I thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to donate to the channel, I'll put all that information below. If you'd like to join me on solara.xyz, or you'd like to book me for a tarot astrology reading, or you'd like a soul recovery session, I will put all information for that in the description box below, as well as I'll pin it in the comment section. But I'm wishing you guys a beautiful new moon in Aquarius, a beautiful month of February. I'm not even going to wish you a beautiful month of February. I'm going to say congratulations on all the beauty that's coming forth for you in the month of February. Yes, so I send you so much love and gratitude for who you are, and all that you are, and all that you are bringing here at this time. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Be well.